Hi, welcome Patreon members. It is the second part of the Storyteller Art Bats video today, and as was voted is bird theme or unusual birds. So we're going with, I know it would be obvious to go with the Peking duck, but we're not going with Peking duck this week. We're going with this one, which is some sort of strange exotic bird. I have no idea where he's coming from, but obviously it's some sort of fight off between two males, because males are usually a bit more extravagant than the dowdy females. Not that our job isn't any more important as theirs is, but they've always got to rut their stuff, haven't they? Anyway, so this is what we're doing today. Now we've got these aubergine reddy browns in here. We've got these golden colours, we've got these oranges, we have got some black, and we have got the oranges down here, but down in the background we've got this citric olive colour, which in my imagination, when this is blended together, it's going to have a very autumnal theme to it, or an autumnal sort of colourway to this blend. So I'm going with, I'll put the picture up here so you can follow along with me and see sort of where I'm coming from. So I'm going to be using some bamboos I've pulled out, and I've also got some mulberry silk noil that's been hand dyed. I'm going to add in some hand dyed trilobal that we did from the dye pot, which is from the same dye pot as what the solid colour is going with. Now you've got these really browny in the bottoms of the stripes on its plumage, on its back plumage. You've got the yellow and this really browny orange colour. Now I've looked, I haven't got anything remotely similar to that in my stash, but what I do have is this chestnut brown. Okay, I've got this chestnut brown, so I'm going to use some of this with my blend today. So I'm just going to take myself a slice off. So I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to put this in there for now. I'm going to put this one aside because obviously I need this to go in the blend set that I'm doing with it. Then we've got the hand dyed trilobal, and I just want, all these are going to have trilobal in them this time around, so I just want to add in a little bit of shiny bling bling. Then I'm going with the citric background. So there we've got this olive. Okay, so citric background, put that in there. Put this over here. Oh, it's falling on the floor. Okay, and then we've got the yellow. So I've gone with this butter yellow. So again, take some of that off and put that on there, and I'll weigh this up properly in a minute. I'm going to add in some, it's brick red. It's real, my light's really, I'm not complaining. Since I decorated the room, I don't actually have to have a load of lights on, and it's really dark and raining outside. But this is like a ruddy brown. It's a brick red, okay, and it's been hand dyed. And I've also got it in the same shade, similar shade, is brick red on a bamboo. I have got some brown bamboo that I'm going to add in, and I've got some yellow bamboo, and I've got some orange over there, which I'll go and grab in a minute, just so we can bring in the orange. But I don't like using a lot of orange, and I don't like using a lot of yellow because I think they're so bold that they detract from the rest of the colours. So they will be in there, but only ever so slightly. Then I've got some of this chocolate brown mulberry silk noil, and then we have got the roving that we dyed up in the chocolatey aubergine colours from the other week in the dye pot tray. So I'm just going to split this. I split it in half lengthways, because I do it lengthways because A, is easier for me making a little mini braid up to put in with blend sets, and B, when I'm stripping it down to work with it, it saves me having to draft it out when I go to work with it, because it's in such thin strips. So when I do it from top to bottom on the roving, that it actually sort of self drafts. They're so thin that it's not a problem. They don't jam on my liquor. So I'm just going to separate this from this and quickly braid this up while I'm here talking. So with the picture that you can see on the screen, if you look through what you've got in your own stash at home and you want to create something similar, when you're looking at pictures or whatever, and you want inspiration from them, just because you don't have certain colours in there doesn't mean that you can't maybe improvise, add something a little bit extra in there, just to sort of correlate the colours together, to say, actually, I had a good try. I might not have that rusty orange colour, but I do have a more orangey looking brown colour in my stash, like what I've done. I might not have the bright yellow that's got there, but I might have a more citrus yellow, or a go with the creams and the whites that are in the picture and the blacks, and just maybe you've only got a little bit of yellow and it's on a sari silk noil or something like that, then you can use that in there in its place, and maybe more focus on the rusty orange colour and the browns, and then creams and blacks, and then just use the oranges and the yellows as maybe pinches of highlights if you've got that in smaller little bits of fibres around the place. And I'm just now thinking, do I want to add, I have got something that I might be able to use. I might add in a little bit of this. Come on out the way, Iona. This has got more or less all the colours that I need, though it's adding a little hint of pink. But I think just for a little bit of something else, is I'm not going to use a lot of it, but I will take a piece off. It's got mulberry silk in it, and it's it's Tussah silk in there with the merino, and it's got these reds and oranges, and it's got the olive greens in there as well. So I'll add a little hint of that, and I will take a little segment off to add in with my blend set. Then it's out the way, and then it just gives it another dimension. So you can use things like this. I order these in, but I use a lot of these blends, not predominantly for just blending on its own as an art bat or spin them off. I use them to help tie colours together when I'm blending up to get the colour interpretation that I'm looking for. You need to move, love. I mean, I could also, if I wanted to, go with this. And this is an alpaca and Tussah silk blend with merino, fine merino. So, I mean, I could have gone down that route more than this one. And actually, now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, actually, maybe I should. So I will do that, actually. And I will just take a little piece off. This is quite expensive, this stuff. So I'll just take a little bit off, and I can use it as my highlight colour. So that's more the oranges and browns that I need to go with this blend. So I'll pop this back over here. There we go. Oh, and I do have in, if I can find it on my desk, some black tea Tussah silk. So I shall take a little bit of this off, and then I've got my black. I'm not going to bother about the white too much, because I've got natural silk in there that's got a hint of white. So I'm just going to, black can be quite dominant, so I'm not going to do a lot of that. And I will do a little bit for over here. And silk, a lot goes a long way, as you're fully aware. So we'll put those over there. They're out of the way. You've got the picture on the screen, and I'm going to do, it's going to be a solid art bat, but with pops of colour through it. So I'm not going to do it as a gradient or anything like that, okay? I don't know why nope, it's okay. It's feeling a bit wonky today. He's a little bit doolally. Seems to, he's lost a fit. So I'm going to go and sort this out, get my blending board moved over, my drum carder, and get us organised and ready for blending up this bat. Okay, so I've just weighed out how much the fibres are, and there's 121 grams in this art bat. So I know not to make my, to do the blend set any more than that, roughly about 100 grams or so. But as long as it doesn't exceed this weight, that's fine. So put that, there we go. So that's one piece, that's that split, and I'll put that to one side. And again, split this other piece into 3 sections as usual. Sometimes I do 4, sometimes I do 2, it all depends. But for teaching purposes, I think it's just as easy for me to show you the most used colorway. So I did take a little bit of orange bamboo, so that I'll split into 3 as I'm working with it. We've got orange, we've got this brick red, and then we've got a dash of brown, and then we do have the black tea Tussah silk, we have the and oil, so it's going to have a little bit of texture in there as well. It's going to have this mixed brown colours, orangey colours in there for highlights. And then we've got our chestnut brown, which I'm going to split into 3 sections. Pop that there. We have got our citric yellow, which we'll do there, and then we have our citric green, or a light olive colour. So it's a merino, merinos and Shetland that I've got here in my blends. Then obviously we've got our hand dyed fibre over here that we did, and we have got our hand dyed trilobal that we have got here. So I'm just going to move my scales out of the way, and the rest of this mulberry silk, put them there like that. There we go. So let's get going. So I'm just going to grab my first piece of the roving that we split up, and because it's so thin I don't need to draft it or anything like that, so it goes on really smoothly. There we go. And so what am I going to do next? I think I'm going to use my bamboos. So I'm going to take a little section of my bamboo here, and I'm putting them on this section here because I think once I put on the textures and the blacks, I'm thinking, this is when my brain's thinking, but this is what I do with the first layer, because I can always put this on top of the colours. But because these are going to be all over the place on the top, and I'm just going to hand paint them on, I'm not doing them as a gradient as such. I think I'll let the bamboo talk for me. I will split this. Do I want this on there? Yes, I do. So I'm going to take that as well. And I'm going to just here do the brown bamboo in a little line. I'm going to go over this way and get the yellow and just hand paint that on as well. Then with the red next to the brown, hand paint that on, and then now remember, this will come through as you're spinning with it or working with it, okay? Then I'm going to get my I'm sure it's either llama or alpaca, which is the silk one, and then just put that on ever so gently. Now I'm going to get my fibres, and I'm just going to hand paint them on. I'm going to save my brown to last. I'm going to go with the yellow first, because yellow is really bold. Then I'm going to get my citric soft green and put that on there. Now I'm going to put my brown on, because it's a really lovely bold colour, and it'll help calm down those citric colours. There we go, quite happy with that. I'm going to get some of my hand dyed mulberry silk thrum, and I'm just going to paint them both on. Okay, excuse the sound of my blinking drum card. He was cleaned last week and he's still being a bit of a menace. Right, so now I'm going to get my trilobal, and I'm just going to spread it right across. There we go, and then a dash of this black over the top as well. There we go, and then I'm just going to repeat that, and I'm quite happy with my layout and the way that it's gone on. We'll see what it looks like, the overall look at the end. So again, because the roving's been stripped lengthways all the way down the split, it just makes it so much easier to get onto my drum carder without having a fight with it. And I just gently tease it all the way along. And then start going back again once I reach one side. And then that's it. go back to my bamboos and split them again. So I've got orange, I've got red, I've got brown, and then I've got a dash of yellow. Okay, so over this side, the yellow, then the orange. I'll come over here and do the brown. And then the brick red. There we go. I'm going to just give it a quick pack down. There we go. Now I'm going to take a bit of my silk alpaca llama blend, whatever it is. I will double check what it is later on. There we go. Back to my other colours. The citricy green. And then my warm brown on top. Get my hand-dyed Trilobo, which is from the same dye pot as the hand-dyed Roving. There we go. And then we've got my black tissue silk, and we have got these to go on next. So I'll do these first. There we go, and again pack that down in the bag. The last of the roving. It's getting a little bit full now, so I'm just going to quickly. There we go. Then back to the bamboo that we've got left over. So a dash of yellow over this side. The orange. The red. The brown. Okay, then we're going to take this blend that we've got left over and put it on there now. Go with our main colours. Our citric from the Shetland. And then the chestnut brown on the merino. Then we can go in with, I'll do the mulberry oil first, because whatever sticks to the front of the car I'm going to grab up with the carder in a minute anyway. Put on the Trilobo. And then the last of my black tea, Tussah Silk. Okay, and then that's that. Just give it one more pat down. At the same time, pull up the fibres that are not adhered to the drum. There we go. Take that off. So yeah, the colours we work with today, you wouldn't, some of you wouldn't, me I would, but some of you wouldn't work with those sort of colours. But that's the best thing about getting a picture inspiration that you like the look of, you're like, oh, that's really pretty. And then translating it and realising there's a lot more colours in that image than you actually first thought. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I wouldn't go with that colour usually. Well, pick it, go find it, look for it in your stash, dye it up or whatever, and then use it. And then I bet you anything, your opinion changes. It's just about experimenting. So there we go. That with that image. You've got the colours in there. You've got these reddy brown colours. You've got more like the gingery brown colour in there. You've got the reds in there and everything else, and the yellows and the citric colours. It's like it's not the best of lights, but you'll see on the picture once it's listed on the website. Then behind, I'll just flip this over. So you've got hand-dyed roving, you've got bamboo, you've got Tussah Silk in there, in natural form and dyed. There we go. I'll just quickly roll that up for you. And there we have the exotic bird. So you've got the warmth of the orange and the reds, the coolness of the citric tones, and then you've got a bit of bling. So there we go. So I hope you found that video useful today in showing you that sometimes there's colours that you really don't want to work with, or you'd rather not, or you wouldn't normally opt for. But sometimes they work really well if you just give it a go. You never know. If it's stuff that's just sat in your stash and you're not going out and specifically bought it, then having a little experiment to play around with it, you can always turn it into an art yarn, or spin it up into sample yarns, and you can use them on peg looms, or use it for your weaving, use them in pattern works if you're not going to use a lot of it. But just do yourself a little 50-gram sample quite easily like that, or a 100-gram bat out of what you've got. Especially with this is definitely one of those bats that are colours that you very rarely use, because they're not really for you. But once you start mixing it up and making it a lot warmer, you'll be surprised what you come up with. So this will have a solid coloured base, but as you spin it up, it should potentially end up with little flashes of colours going throughout, depending on what way you spin, whether you do a lace weight wool, whether you do a DK wool. When you're working with wools like this, where the colours have flipped back and forth, you can't always guarantee that you're going to catch those, but that all depends on what type of wool that you're spinning. But with the solid background that's in there already, that's the one that's going to be a dominant colour. Everything else is just going to pop in and out as you spin along. DK weight, I think, or an Aran, probably because you're spinning a lot thicker, might actually help highlight some of those colours a little bit more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Don't forget to leave your comments down below for any questions that you may have had for that. The Q&A will be up tomorrow for you to post your questions, because next Sunday Monday is the last video for this theme. I have put up a question last week, and I'd really appreciate it if you could put your comments down below underneath it if you haven't already. We've been doing this for 6 months now, and I did pose a question last week asking you for your opinions and what you want me to do for the next 6 months to take us through until the new year. We've been doing storyteller art bats. Brilliant. I don't mind doing that. But what I would like to know is, do you want me to keep going on with this theme of doing art bats, Or would you like me to do, you start working on a blending board a little bit more for those with a blending board at home, and using bats, making mini bats and doing, mini bats are easy. They're just the same as what I'm doing here, but you're on a flat surface. Or doing Rolags, or a mix of bats and Rolags and that sort of thing. So anyway, the question is down there. It's on the last post. It's on this, the one below here. Please put down your ideas and what you'd like to see me do for the next 6 months, just to change it up a little bit and give us a little bit difference. It is the community that we're in, and I can only provide you with content that you guys want to see, okay? Because I am noticing, though I've got 20 odd subscribers or members to the platform, only 4 or 5 of you are watching the video, so it makes me a little bit concerned that I'm maybe not doing something right, and I would appreciate any feedback from that. Okay, not a problem. You take care of yourselves, and I shall see you next week.